Back to one of our leading stories now, where the cross-examination of the third state witness in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case, Tumelo Madlala, has been postponed to the 14th of November. We're now joined by Ian Ellis, criminal law expert, to get his view on the proceedings and possibly look at the future in terms of when that trial picks up on the 14th of November. Ian, happy Friday to you, and thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. When we take a look at this witness, I do wonder first what you have made of his demeanor.
Hi, Dudu, and hi to the viewers as well. To say the least, he hasn't been the best of witnesses. He's been quite evasive on certain aspects, and also he's contradicted himself with regards to certain of his versions. He's come under also quite heavy cross-examination, so that can also contribute to it, and taking into account that the events did take place basically 8 years ago. One can allow for certain leeway in the discrepancies on his testimony from what he recalled 8 years ago to what he recalls now. Unfortunately, the one problem that I have encountered is a lot of his testimony has revolved around sensationalism as well, which isn't a good thing if one actually has a bearing that these are court proceedings. I've seen in certain regards, he's not afraid to stand his ground, which is always good from a witness, so he's not an intimidated witness. But whether he's a truly credible witness, that still serves to be seen. Especially when the cross-examination also commences from the counsel representing the other accused.
On the issue of credibility, the defense poking holes and actually asking him particularly about him receiving payment from the producers of that documentary, the now infamous documentary, accusing him of being possibly coached as he now takes to the stand.
Well, let me put it in this way. When in doubt as well, blame it all on Netflix. The fact is that whether he did actually get paid and the extent of his payment doesn't automatically go ahead and deem him as a non-credible witness. The fact is that perhaps what's happened is in going through it and recalling the details, and obviously when one is shooting a documentary, it's very different to when one is in actual fact dealing with testimony in court. And the problem comes, it's the same thing when people start writing books about events and they start giving interviews about events. You tend to get hauled into the whole concept of the event rather than what actually took place. And I sense that's what's coming back to bite him. He's given the defense a lot of ammunition. The defense at the same time have also been quite cagey in what they've in actual fact been saying and how they've been posing the questions in a hypothetical manner in certain regards. And they've also been building into more of a character assassination from certain aspects than actually dealing with the evidence at hand.
You speak of the strategy of the defense, calling them cagey. Could we see this change? Are they trying to make him comfortable, quote unquote, for lack of a better expression, before they actually hit hard?
Oh, hardly. They hit him very, very hard at this present moment. It's exactly the opposite. They tried to tie him into their version. And one must actually acknowledge one aspect, and that is from the beginning of the trial, and that then the boundaries further got blurred because of the issues of the second docket and the police investigations and all of that. The defense have always alleged there is not been the accused, but it has been through another person. And they've always alleged this alternative version that someone else was responsible for the murder, someone else fired the gun. And that is what they are going to try and shepherd the witness into.
What should we understand about the state's strategy at this stage?
The state, unfortunately, is, and within most matters of this nature, they're pushing the boulder uphill. And when I say pushing the boulder uphill, they already had a highly sensationalized case. There was already compromised evidence. There's been highly contentious issues of identity is being provided in the middle of court proceedings. The state hasn't in exactly cause of showing that these accused are in fact the correct people. In fact, with all the other factors and everything else that's played around in it, that they've actually been compromised in their case. The key with a case like this is try and keep the facts as simple as possible. These have become more convoluted because of involvement by third parties and unnecessary additional police officials coming in, which is going to compromise their case from contradictory evidence as well as lack of substantive evidence or compromised evidence.
So just out of curiosity, right, the Sowetan, on its front page, they've got a police identikit of the gunman, and they've got a police identikit of a second intruder, and they're pairing it up with accused number 2 and accused number 3. It's up to you what you see, right, because we all see differently. But just out of curiosity, how do we take identikits in South Africa? Does someone sit there and draw them, or do we digitize them?
It's still very much manually done and sketched. There are, however, enhancements and computer enhancements to give a bit more detail that assist with regards with improving the quality of the identikit. But it's still pretty much the old fashioned pencil and paper approach.
Let's speak of the judge. What have you made of his demeanor and his tone in the past couple of days?
I think he's been very patient, and I have to give all the credit to the judge. I'm surprised how he has remained as calm and as patient with the frustrating line of evidence and the delays and stalling tactics. And obviously, I can't not mention the shenanigans of yesterday with Advocate Tshifhiwa going and interrupting the proceedings as well. So I would say, from all being said and done and the need of security being brought in, the judges still continue to do a phenomenal job.
I do wonder if I can pick your brain on this latest development with regards to Advocate, I guess to Mr. Malisela Tshifhiwa now.
Well, Advocate Tshifhiwa.
Oh, we still call him Advocate Tshifhiwa?
No, he cannot hold that title anymore.
Okay.
If one could say in legal terms, the erstwhile Advocate Tshifhiwa, now just Mr. Tshifhiwa.
Right. I do wonder what you have made in terms of that judgment.
I've actually heard the judgment, heard what actually took place. There's very little recovering from that one, and I certainly don't think that while having him representing them, he did the accused actually any favors with his approach. In no uncertain terms, Mr. Tabani has come in and at least stuck to keeping all the facts about the case, and not becoming the case in the trials and tribulations and daily dramas of Mr. Tshifhiwa. So, to be quite brutal, it's not surprising, and unfortunately, his conduct in his proceedings haven't helped him with regards to his fight with the Legal Practices Council.
Ian, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Ian Ellis is a criminal law expert.